I am so grateful to be up here to receive this award so I cannot thank my family and my team and instead talk about something that's really important to me.
Hey everyone, I'm Bradley and welcome to Zlangle. Okay guys, I can tell this has the possibility of getting ugly. So I never thought I'd have to make this video, or any video like it. And I hate getting political or anything of the sort. I mean, I just like talking about comic books and films and that sort of thing. But I have seen so many posts and YouTube videos and articles claiming something that just isn't true. Some people have said that this movie is just some sort of SJW feminist propaganda, but that is so easily debunked and ridiculous I'm not even going to address it. But something else that's been going around a lot is this whole thing about Brie Larson not wanting white male people or critics to see her movie, or that she's pushing some sort of agenda, that she wants less white men to review films. And if you've heard this and believed it, you're not an idiot, I'm not saying that. At this point it's being said so much that if you haven't at least heard some of this stuff, then you might be living under a rock. Or just don't go on the internet that much. But I'll ask you to take a journey with me to the source of all of this nonsense. Let's take a look at what Brie Larson actually said. That seems like a good place to start. Oh, and real quick, in case you're wondering, I am a white male. I know, it's crazy. So if someone was out there insulting white guys, I would be annoyed too. But that's why I'm here. I'm trying to stop the spread of misinformation. Agree or disagree with what she actually says, that's fine. But let's be upset about the right things. Okay, back to what Brie said in an interview. About a year ago, I started paying attention to what my press days looked like and the critics reviewing movies, and noticed it appeared to be overwhelmingly white male. So I spoke to Dr. Stacy Smith at the USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, who put together a study to confirm that. Moving forward, I decided to make sure my press days were more inclusive. After speaking with you, the film critic Valerie Complex, and a few other women of color, it sounded like across the board they weren't getting the same opportunities as others. When I talked to the facilities that weren't providing it, they all had different excuses. I want to go out of my way to connect the dots. So right there, she never said anything about wanting less white male critics. She just points out that there are a majority of those, and she thinks it's important to have more diversity of review perspectives to get a more comprehensive look at what people think about the films that come out. And again, whether you agree or not with her opinion on that, that's up to you. But that's all she was saying. Now let's watch a bit more of what she said before we get into the more controversial stuff.
I'd like to bring to light an aspect of our industry that has risen to the surface in the last week, but this issue has a solution that each one of us in this room can participate in. USC Annenberg's Inclusive Initiative released findings that 67% of the top critics reviewing the 100 highest grossing movies in 2017 were white males. Less than a quarter were white women, and less than 10% were unrepresented men. Only 2.5% of those top critics were women of color. So you're probably thinking right now, like, wow, that super doesn't represent the country that I live in, and that's because that's true. This is a huge disconnect from the US population breakdown of 30% white men, 30% white women, 20% men of color, and 20% women of color.
Again, she is just trying to bring to light that there isn't enough diversity among film critics. That's it.
It really sucks that reviews matter, but reviews matter. Good reviews out of festivals give small independent films a fighting chance to be bought and seen. Good reviews help films gross money. Good reviews slingshot films into awards contenders. A good review can change your life. It changed mine.
If there were a majority of any other race or group of people that helped determine the Rotten Tomatoes score and influenced if a movie makes good money or great money, she would probably talk about that too.
So why does that matter? Why am I up here giving you statistics when I could be spending this time talking about my publicist? Is that if you make a movie that is a love letter to women of color, there is an insanely low chance a woman of color will have the chance to see your movie and review your movie. Our industry has gone through a major growth. We are expanding to make films that better reflect the people that buy movie tickets, but they are not allowed enough chances to read public discourse on these films by the people that these films were made for.
And she is also not saying that the people who the films aren't made for can't watch or review them. Film is for all of humanity to watch, enjoy, and discuss. She is merely saying that if the majority of critics are not in the general demographic that a specific movie is targeting, then the reviews for it won't reflect what the general population might think of it. Because that's sort of the whole point of film critics. They explain and discuss what they like and don't like, and it gives the general movie-going audience a sense of whether or not they might enjoy the film themselves. But that system doesn't quite work the best if the background, perspectives, and outlooks of the critics don't accurately reflect the population of the country.
And this is also not to mention other people besides white dudes like Star Wars and would love the opportunity to do a set visit. And I'm also saying I don't hate white dudes. I'm just saying we need to be conscious of our bias and do our part to make sure that everyone is in the room.
I'm not saying whether or not you should agree with her, or even if I do. I'm just telling you what she's saying. And she's also not saying that she doesn't want white men to see Captain Marvel. I've seen that said a couple places, and that's not true either. But let's now get into this part.
I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. I want to know what that film meant to women of color, to biracial women, to teen women of color, to teens that are biracial. And for the third time, I don't hate white dudes.
This is what seems to anger most of the people that are ranting, insulting, and bombarding Rotten Tomatoes with downvotes and all that stuff. And again, if you heard this quote with no context, I can understand why you'd be upset at first. But think about it with her earlier quotes in mind. She does not hate or want to invalidate or discriminate against white men. She just doesn't. That would make her entire point she's trying to make about equality void. She wants white men to see and review her movies, not only because, more importantly, she's not sexist or discriminatory, but she's also going to make movies in her career that the target demographic is men. Speaking of which, Avengers Endgame is coming out soon. That has a huge male fan base that is looking forward to it. Yes, at this point almost every demographic in the US watches and enjoys the MCU and comic book movies, but teen to adult men are a large portion of the audience.
There are people out there making a lot of really inflammatory, defamatory, and completely fictitious reviews and posts of Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, and trying to pit Shazam against it, and saying they're going to support us and not them because of things that they are, by the way, making up. For anyone out there who thinks you're doing me a favor, or you're doing Shazam a favor, or you're doing Warner Brothers, or what, you're not. This is not helping anyone or anything. There is no competition. Anyone out there who's holding on to some bone like they need to pick a side and pick a fight is sorely mistaken, and I really hope that you'll just chill on that. Don't go and engage in that type of behavior anymore. But this is really low blow type of stuff. To be going and lying, first of all, is just the bottom of the barrel to me. But to be lying in an attempt to discredit or defame somebody, I think is just really sad.
And lastly, she took the time recently to clarify her position.
Now, one thing I want to say, one thing I love about you is you had a great story happen recently about inclusivity and diversity in press. And I'm a white male, and I commended you completely on that. But
Thanks.
Most people, when that article dropped, it was headlines that were completely taking you out of context. She wants no white men at press junction, which is not what you were saying. And people need to read the articles to actually find out the context of what you were saying.
Yeah.
But as an actor, when you have to say something like that, do you worry about how things get twisted? And for audiences who only do read headlines, can you clarify what you were saying? 'Cause I think it's awesome what you're doing, and I hope that more actors do it.
I mean, it's hard for me to comment on that because I don't know what the headlines were or what was said or what I said or what people think that I said. All that I know is what I'm looking for is to bring more seats up to the table.
Yep.
No one's getting their chair taken away. There's not less seats at the table. There's just more seats at the table.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love that you're doing that, and please, I hope every actor sees what you're doing and does it more because we need more diversity.
Thank
in
you.
press.
I appreciate that.
Completely agree
Thank
with
you.
So there you have it. If after watching this and or reading everything she had to say about diversity in the film industry and you still think she's against white men, I don't know how to help you. But all of you who stay through to the end, why don't you take a second to like and subscribe? I really appreciate it, and thanks for taking the time to watch this. This will hopefully be my last video of this nature. I don't like getting into controversial topics. And if you have any thoughts or opinions about all of this, leave them down in the comments, even if you wholeheartedly disagree. I would be curious to hear what you have to say. Until next time, nuff said and Excelsior.